So, hi, good morning. I am Gabby. I am an artist, a multidisciplinary artist living in Bristol, and I work with Victoria and Bridget and others in Declare a Support for Culture Declares Emergency as a volunteer. Um, and I think what we can start with doing is just to do really brief introductions, your name, where you come from, what your practice is, and then pass it on to somebody else. So I would like to pass on to Jill. And Jill is still muted.
Half an hour later, sorry about that. Hi, yeah, my name's Jill. I work in Hull and the sort of East Riding. I co-run a magazine called The Critical Fish, which looks at arts and visual culture, run workshops, and increasingly, like a lot of our work is climate environment, nearly all of it's climate environment focused. And yeah, it's a hodgepodge of doing some writing, projects, workshops, work when we can get it, that kind of hodgepodge of things. Sorry. That's it.
That's great. And if you can pass on to somebody else, Jill, and we'll try and keep it snappy so that we have time for everything we want to do today. Thanks.
Rose.
Hiya, I'm Rose. I am Programme and Marketing Manager at Meadow Arts. Meadow Arts is a contemporary visual arts charity based in the rural West Midlands. So naturally, a lot of our kind of arts-based projects revolve around climate and the environment, and increasingly more so over time. So although we've kind of dabbled on the edges of the climate declares and we are a declarer, we haven't kind of done that much, and I'd like to do a bit more.
That's lovely. Thanks, Rose.
I will pass on to Victoria.
Oh, thank you, Rose. Yeah, I'm Victoria Burns, and I'm the coordinator for the movement for Culture Declares. I'm also work with Bridget at Climate Museum UK, and I'm a coaching psychologist, very interested in how people change their minds. And I will pass to Sue.
Hi everybody, I'm Sue Palmer. I work as an artist in live. I make live performance as well as having a social practice. I'm currently working on a project called Atmospheric Forces with Sheila Galani. I also work on a health and climate project in my hometown in Frome, which is a lottery climate action funded project. And I really am immersed in climate work, but as an artist, I've yet to declare. So being here is part of my motivation. I just can't find the time. So this is my motivation to do it. And I'm going to pass on to Bean.
Hello. It's pronounced Benvi, which is, it's a weird name. I'm Benvi, I'm from Leicester, I'm an artist and a workshop facilitator, and I work for a charity called Soft Touch Arts, and we work with a whole varied group of young people from different backgrounds, and we support their growth through arts and music. And what we are trying to do at the minute, and why I'm here, is we've declared and we are looking at, and we've found funding to work out how to embed creative responses to the climate crisis and the work that we do with the young people, and how we can sort of like embed that message in the work we do at work. And I am passing on to Freddie.
Hi there, I'm Freddie. I'm an artist based in London, and I largely make work about climate and food systems. And my anecdote is I live on the same road as Victoria.
We can shout to each other.
I will pass on to Helena.
Hello, I'm Helena. I'm based in Buckinghamshire, sort of Buckinghamshire, Oxford borders. I'm a psychotherapist and a member of Climate Psychology Alliance. So I work with climate crisis and colonising. So I co-facilitate a decolonising group. We're looking at colonising our practices and I offer social dreaming and working with groups using creativity. Time to time I work with artists, worked with Central School artists, and we've just been in touch with the Vulgar Earth Collective and working with a group of artists in Poland. Next, it's lovely to be here for the first time. My introduction was going to the lovely event at Bexhill-on-Sea Pavilion. I'll pass. This is when my memory lets me down. Pass to Kirsten.
Thank you so much, Helena. Hello. I'm Kirsten, actually, but do call me Kirsten if you want to, because it's spelt that way and it's just a nightmare. I'll put the pronunciation in there. Hello, I'm a poet and a producer and a performer and an amateur artist up in Teesside. I'm the founder of Tees Women Poets Spoken Word Collective, and we do a lot of nature writing, and I would like to stop being fluffy about that and be useful about that. And yeah, that's it. I have not declared. I'd like to declare as an organization and as an individual. So this is my starting point today. I will pass to who have we not heard from yet? Giovanna.
Hi, hello. I'm Giovanna. I'm originally from Brazil, but I'm currently based in London to do my master's and my research. And I'm here because I'm researching museums, public policy, and the climate crisis. And I'm very excited to declare as an individual, and soon after my master's, once I'm back in some organizations, hopefully with my future organization. Thank you. I'll pass to Lucimara.
Hi, Giovanna. We're both from Brazil, and I'm also here this year to do my master program. I'm doing Leicester, you just mentioned, doing my regenerative museums research. I'm very interested in how museums can become regenerative forces and how they can engage into the regeneration movement. And I am also founder of an organization in Brazil called Regenera Museu. It has been 7 years, which is doing capacity building, training, and consultancy for museums and arts and culture in sustainable development and regeneration whenever possible. And I'm also ICOM Sustain Vice Chair, which means the ICOM committee that has been recently launched for sustainable development, which we mean to bring much more forward thinking. I have mentioned Culture Declares to many forums in Brazil of art and culture, and hopefully they can get closer. Thank you. I'll pass to Persephone.
Morning, thanks, Simara. It's great to hear everyone's stories. I'm based in Brighton. I helped organise the event that Helena mentioned. I co-host the Southeast Coastal Hub with Polly, who's a core CDE person, and historically as part of ONCO, which is an arts and environment organisation and charity in Brighton. I'm now doing a master's in psychotherapy, and I'm also a member of the Climate Psychology Alliance, and I'm looking at my main preoccupation is memory and remembrance and eco emotions, and how artists can support people to explore them and hold spaces for different emotions. And I'm also very interested in the emphasis on racist practice, and as Helena used the word, decolonizing, looking at whiteness and white supremacy in the environmental movement and in the culture sector generally. So yeah, I will pass to Sue.
I think we just need Rima. I think it's the last.
I will pass to Rima.
You're gay as well, yeah.
Hello, I'm Rima. Sorry, I was a few minutes late. I am a producer at Complicity, a theatre company based in London. I'm also have recently become our sustainability champion, and we are looking at all of our climate goals, which include embedding themes around the climate and ecological crisis in our work, but also in making work more sustainably, and getting ourselves to an achievable action plan. And part of that is also recommitting to being part of this group with Culture Declares Emergency. So I'm really happy to be here for my first CDE breakfast, and to hopefully have a closer relationship. Really lovely to meet you all. And did you say there is somebody else who hasn't gone?
You're okay. Sorry for the pronunciation.
Don't worry at all. Hello, my name is Jorge. I'm based in Spain. I think I am the only one here from outside England at the moment. So we signed the declaration kind of 6 years ago with my organization, but now I'm here because I'm part of two networks, two Spanish networks. One of them is about projects that treat art in countrysides, and the other one is about cultural community practices. And it's this second one who is thinking now to declare and to be part of the Spanish hub. And that's it. I mainly do projects that are related with ecology and regeneration. And now at the moment, I'm running an educational program about sea level rise.
Thanks so much, Jorge. What a great collection of people from all over the world here today. And yeah, I bet that, Bridget, you're glad to hear about people coming and wanting, doing their work, particularly in the regenerative museum kind of world. Bridget, who is going to be taking us through Culture Declares kind of new ideas around our Culture Takes Action framework, is also founder and coordinator of Climate Museum UK, and a really core member of Culture Declares Emergency. She has done a lot of work very recently to put together a new framework to help us as an organisation and declarers within our organisation and then the world beyond that, to think about how we can really move forward and make meaningful change as a collective and as our individuals. So today is really a soft launch for this framework that Bridget has put forward, and we shall be kind of embedding into everything that Culture Declares does. There is a toolkit, and then the toolkit is really a framework for using what we've called the blueprint for change, which is really focusing on the emergency while considering all of the complexities involved in linking together culture, environment, society, and all the kind of mitigations that we need to be embedding in our practice. Yeah, I mean, I think that rather than trying to explain it less well than you, Bridget, it would be good for you to just take over at this point. Bridget is going to be kind of talking us through the toolkit and the blueprint, and then there'll be a bit of time for us to kind of think about where, how it feels a helpful tool, where we might feel that there are barriers, because this is very much an invitation for feedback at this stage. We're still at a kind of beta planning phase of the toolkit.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Gabby. Can you all see my screen? Yeah. Okay. So yes, this is a beta launch. We didn't maybe make that clear in our sort of social media, but in a way, it's a kind of principle of the way we work, that everything is evolving and we are a collective, a horizontal collective. And we invite more people to join and get active and voice what you need as practitioners declaring emergency. So the purpose of the toolkit is it really is about a response to the emergency. So it is part of a refresh of our strategy in our 5th year of the movement. And it's about acknowledging the significantly worsening Earth crisis. It's about making absolutely clear that declaring emergency is the first step of many more that we take together as a movement. So it isn't just about voicing, it is about enabling action. So the toolkit essentially is about helping you know what to do after declaration as a practitioner and or a creative and cultural organization. It takes you through a process of steps of group discussions or peer discussions to really think through your responsibility, your the means of your own kind of truth telling, and then really to look at what are the potentials for your practice in taking action. It has part of this strategy is having a tighter focus where we're distinguishing ourselves from a range of emerging movements and organizations, more and more kind of policy organizations or networks, like cultural workers are starting to say, oh, we need the things are getting bad, we need a climate plan. And so there's a lot bubbling up, and we need to be able to say, well, this is what we do. And that's partly because we need funding. So, we're in a way, we've existed for 5 years and it builds on practice. For example, Persephone, your practice goes back, I don't know, 12, 15 years. We're building on and amplifying practice that has been essentially declaring emergency for a very long time. And just to be clear as well on the distinction between the phrase Earth crisis and emergency, the Earth crisis for me is a way of describing what others might call the meta crisis or the poly crisis or the omni crisis, but in a way by describing the big crisis in relation to the Earth, it really situates the problem in it being rooted in extractive attitudes and colonial systems, and our separation, the human separation from the living planet. So that's how we might describe the problem. The emergency is what emerges from the Earth crisis. It's more about how the crisis affects us, how it is emerging and affecting us. So yes, the strategy has a tighter focus, but it also is about expanding our thinking about systemic causes, being clear that this is a cultural crisis, and also expanding thinking about the potential for responses from our sector. So often culture and arts and culture are missing, or just referred to in a very broad brush way at the end of a report, and often treated as the arts in service to messaging, or simply helping people to cope or attracting people, by having fun. But we need to be able to demonstrate and storytell about the broad ways that cultural practice can absolutely tackle this cultural crisis. So the parts of the toolkit, I will just go very briefly in a little while to the website itself, but I'm just going to explain there are 3 parts. Stage 1 is prompts for declaring and preparing. Stage 2 is about using the blueprint for change to plan your actions. So I've put it in bold because it's the most important part. Then stage 3 is about reflecting and communicating once you're embarked on the journey. There are also lots of links in the toolkit to existing resources that we already have. For example, guidance on direct activism, cleaning up your funding, and starting your own hub. It's based on our refreshed values. So at the heart of the toolkit is the blueprint for change that's based on our 3 pillars that are truth-telling, which is about reflecting on your responsibility and then facing, understanding and communicating the gravity and urgency of the emergency. So just to be clear as well, so this is about exploring the roots of the crisis and communicating the gravity and urgency of the emergency that comes out of that crisis. It's about caretaking. So we as declarers, we anticipate and prepare for the impacts of the emergency on our work and our communities, aiming to be more resilient and adaptive. And then it's about change making, so about developing policies and plans to limit and stop harm, both directly in our practice and working systemically towards a regenerative future. So this is really where we are different maybe from other movements or groups that perhaps focus much more on change making and focus much more on mitigation, much more on carbon. We are wanting to be broader, more about those broad ranges of systemic change. So that's where the blueprint for change comes in, to try to really clearly spell out what is that breadth. So you can see the structure of it. This structure is about enabling a sort of a triage, a kind of emergency response triage. So the first thing you do is declaring, and that could either be with Culture Declares or with any other alliance of declarers, or do it independently. It's about a reflection and an auditing. Then the next step is to think about care. So it's about reprioritizing what's of value. It's about caring for each other, for example, colleagues in your organization, and about thinking, using care as a motivating concept in anticipating risk and protecting of your assets. And then change making is deliberately here not just about carbon, but about carbon and ecological footprints and ethical footprints. And really a positive thing here is about nurturing your positive handprint. So it's about the role of culture in how you create, connect and care. And also about slowing down and listening and reconnecting. You know, that phrase, the times are urgent, we must slow down. Then the next level is about moving on to your relationships with community. So you start with your practice and organization because it's like, you know, putting on your oxygen mask first. If we don't care about our, you know, the sustainability of our cultural practice and organizations, then we'll have nothing to, you know, to engage with. Which is why, incidentally, one of the key focuses for Culture Declares going forward is about working on the potential for more funding for the work that we do, advocating for more funding. So anyway, moving on. So the next steps are about engaging with relationships with community. So truth-telling, caretaking and change-making again. And then now this is just a little bit of a sort of problematic thing. The third level here is about engaging sort of bigger picture, longer term, including the point of decolonizing thinking and doing. And this isn't to say that that's not vitally important. What it's suggesting here is that the thinking around it is you know, it's complex and it needs proper attention. All of these things need proper attention, but it's It's just that this isn't really a set of steps that say, at least if you do this, you'll be doing enough. This is really about showing how challenging this whole effort is. Essentially, together, we need to be doing all of these, but we can all contribute in parts where we are strong, and together we are stronger. So, for example, in your hubs, you might have people who are identified as really strong in particular areas who can contribute to your network. So yeah, this blueprint is essentially for the declarer community, our allies, and the world at large. It isn't just for us as declarers, but I think that it is particularly useful for us to work on as hubs. Anyway, I can't see the time, so if you just need to tell me to stop, to shut up, please do.
Keep going. You've got another, I'd say 8 minutes.
Okay. Okay, so what we're gonna do is to ask you about your responses to this, and the discussion will be, if you're in the role of using this toolkit with colleagues, what would motivate you and what would be the barriers to using it? And we also would like to know, how could it grow? Because we'd like to apply for some funding, develop some resources that make this less of a text resource and much more of an animated, lively thing, where we might have videos or podcasts. We might be linking to stories of practice from hubs and other places. Perhaps we might run train the trainer sessions. Perhaps we'll have, a road show of workshops where we come to hubs. When I say we, I mean perhaps people who are trained as trainers in the process. So we'd like your ideas on that. I'm going to stop sharing my, hang on, I need to go to the website. So this is what the toolkit looks like. Zara Vorder is the comms person in Culture Declares, and she's put together the website. If you, incidentally, we want this to be perhaps even more illustrated. So if you do have images of your practice and you think it might go somewhere really well in a part of the toolkit, then do let us know. And also we have blog posts where we're very happy to showcase practice. Anyway, so it has these 3 stages. Stage 1, declare and prepare. And each section opens up to provide more a sort of system of prompts. So, are you ready to declare with us? Here are the steps. Complete the form, announce your declaration. And then going further, there's always a task. So the task provides prompts and resources. So it is very, very step by step. Grasp the scope of an emergency response is about explaining what the Earth crisis is, and expanding or opening the envelope on what we can do, so that we're not just focusing on climate and carbon, but we're also engaging with nature. It isn't just about mitigation, but also adaptation and resilience. So yeah, there's a number of resources here for you to work with colleagues on that. Stage 2, again, just to reiterate, is based on the blueprint for change. So these resources walk you through each of those sections, as you can see. And then the final part, stage 3, sorry, I'm dyscalculic, number blind, so I always get numbers wrong. Pausing to reflect, deciding, there are some tools in here like canvases for creating your own sort of milestones and notes on change making, a section on community emergency response plans, and then a section on cleaning up your funding, a decision checklist for assessing potential funders. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And so the first thing we'd just like you to do is to just put a word in the chat, which might convey, you know, your key emotion. How are you feeling right now?